right? Having fun. Let's see. Are we live yet? We're live. Hey, everybody. We are live.
Woo-hoo.
We're live. Okay, let's hear it. Woo, Krista.
I'm super happy to be here today. Thank you. Thanks for
Oh, well, I'm so excited to have you here. And I just want to introduce you real quickly. And we can wait a couple minutes till people start coming in. I can tell when people start popping in. And if you come in, please make sure and say, hi, Liz and Krista. Make sure to say hi to us so we know that our broadcast is coming through okay. Perfect. We're looking good. We're sounding good. It's a clear broadcast and all that good, juicy stuff. Okay, so we have kind of a fun session planned for us today.
We do.
Barbara. Oh, my goodness. Barbara Nyman, I have been thinking about you for a couple of weeks now. We need to connect. We need to talk, honey. All right, so let me introduce Krista. Krista is a spiritual author, soul speaker, and mind-body medicine practitioner. She's written not just one, but 2 best-selling books, Soul Purpose, and the second one is Be Good. And you're also working on a 3rd book, isn't that right?
I am. It's pretty exciting. It's called Heartistry.
Heartistry and Healing. Yes. And you are the founder of the philanthropic nonprofit, The Fabulous Women of Sonoma County.
Roll your shoulders with that one, Liz.
The Fabulous Women of Sonoma County. I think that sounds like so much fun. And Krista, you have developed something called, and there's Selena there, Tanya's there, Barbara, woohoo. Okay, so you have something called Heartistry. You've created and developed something called Heartistry. And I'm wondering if you would share that with all of us, because I know what it is, but I know that other people out there. Oh, one other thing about Krista. Krista has taken the Celebrate Your Life Speakers Program with me and Sunny Dawn Johnston.
I did it twice.
Twice? You did it twice.
I did.
How come you did it twice? I'm just curious. How come you did it twice?
You know, it was
I like that you did it twice. You know, it was like fantastic.
Well, you know, it's so kind of divine how the whole thing came to my awareness. Marla Steele, who lives here in Petaluma with me, I just saw her yesterday, and she said,
"I didn't know you know Marla."
Yeah, she just came in my shop yesterday, and
don't you love the things you find out about Facebook Live? Well, I know Marla really well, and Marla knows my husband really well.
Yes, she told
me. So
interesting.
She
told me. I know we're all so connected. Anyhow, it was a few years ago. I was at a retreat, a training course with Sunny at her classroom in Arizona, and we were on a break. And Marla, you know, she messaged me on Facebook, and she says, "You need to do this." And it was your link to Celebrate Your Life speaker training. And I thought, oh, wow, that's kind of interesting. How timely, right? And we were on a break, and I was reading through it, and it really spoke to me and scared the shit out of me.
You can say shit here, okay?
I know, I've been watching, so it's okay.
I know.
It scared me, and I thought, no, I'm not ready.
Yeah.
And that was the honest truth. And I shut it off, and we come back to the classroom, and all of a sudden Sunny says, "Oh, by the way, I want to let you guys know about a speaker training program." And I thought, it was crazy. So I went home that night, and I just kept reading it over and over. And, you know, it's so interesting. I mean, I never expected, for instance, to start a nonprofit in Petaluma, to have this big philanthropic movement, but I was calling for service in my life. I felt like I was always supposed to have some higher purpose, some higher reach. And, but everything I did was very intuitive, and it's fly by the seat of your pants. It's chaotic. It's unorganized.
I can totally relate to that. And you know what's really funny is that you just told me the story about your locket.
Yes.
And okay, this is a really cool story, but I want you to notice what I'm wearing today.
Yeah, I know.
And I've never worn
usually,
this. This is this is one of our Celebrate Your Life sweatshirts. And and I have a t-shirt on underneath, and I was so cold this morning because it happens to be cold in Arizona right now. Cold for us is like in the late, the high 50s or something, right? So it's cold for me. So I went and put my sweatshirt on, and I thought, oh, I'll change before I go Facebook Live. Well, I looked at the time and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to wear my sweatshirt. And I've never done that before on a Facebook Live, but I got my fabulous navy blue sweatshirt with the Celebrate Your Life with this on the back. I don't know if you can read it. Okay, tell me if you can read it.
Yep. I wear that shirt all the time. You got to stand up just a little bit. Okay. Walk your path with dancing feet. Now scoot over just a hair. Scoot over, and a song in your heart.
That's my mom's quote. So that's on the, that's t-shirt weather. Thank you, Barbara. It's sweatshirt weather. So I've got this sweatshirt on, and I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to wear it on camera. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's very cozy. It's warm. And then Krista, you just told me a really interesting story. So do you want to?
I do. So a few years ago, so I got the courage, if you want to call it that, to sign up for the program. And my friends, I had always been very, comfortable in a setting, living room, 30 women, or in my community, if I was at a big event, hundreds of people just talking off the cuff. But this idea of like getting some sort of formal training seemed kind of intimidating. So I went through that process, and I was in this place where getting ready to create the video. You submit a video at the end. And my dear friend, Kelly Sunshine, she watches you.
Oh, yes.
I wouldn't be surprised if she's on here, but she had given me this locket.
Isn't this locket beautiful? Here, bring it a little bit closer. It's so, yeah, there you go.
There you go. and she was so, she's been so supportive. And she says, I saw this locket. I ordered it for you. You're just doing really kind of brave things right now. And I love that you can put something in the locket that you're manifesting. Right. And, there's certain people you have those conversations. They understand manifesting. Right.
Right.
And so I immediately got a kick out of it. And I went home that night and I wrote out my goals regarding your Celebrate Your Life speaker program.
And this was a couple of years ago.
And I put this in there.
Isn't that great?
Celebrate your life.
Isn't that great? I love it. And so you haven't looked at the locket since then?
Well,
and you forgot it was in there.
I haven't looked inside. I've wore this, a few times, but I was kind of called to it today, and I said, "Oh, Kelly gave me this locket. Seems fitting. I'm going to spend time with Liz today."
It's so perfect. And what's so funny is that you made a heart. I don't know if you ever noticed this, but I don't know if you can see it. When the designer designed our logo, he did it so it's kind of like where is it? It's like supposed to be a heart. You see?
Yes.
It's supposed to be in the shape of a heart.
And then
I know.
Today
I love the synchronicity.
We were going to talk about Heartistry, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is of course divine. And the kind of life and upbringing I had with my parents. My dad, he was great. But he always says, Krista, he goes, sometimes you don't go through the front door, you got to go through the back door. And I'm thinking to myself, this wasn't how I, originally envisioned. Like, how great would it be if Liz and Sunny picked me for the stage? And, you have these glamorous thoughts of like, becoming the speaker. Like, shit, I like laughed, and I kind of prayed to my dad today. I'm going through the back door. I'm going to get
I love it. Going through the back door. All right, so let's talk about Heartistry. And hello, Judith Adair. Hi, Judith.
Hello, love.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about what is Heartistry about, and how can we use it in our lives? So let's start with what it's about.
Well, Heartistry, interesting enough, in writing the first book, the second book, third book, there was definitely I was graduating. I was writing these books, and as I was becoming more involved with community and starting to understand my purpose and my message. So the first book was really about, that we are all called to service. And I happened to find my purpose through philanthropy and bringing my community together to do good and, to educate and for us to inspire service in the world. That at that moment, that was the message. And then, I did your speaker training, and I went away on a writer's retreat, and I said, yeah, damn it, there's another book in there. Like I didn't want another book, but it was just coming to the surface. And I did a writer's retreat with Shanda and Melissa and Jody and Sunny, and went to Sedona, and I realized, okay, my dad was this very unconventional fella, almost like an Archie Bunker. And he was no nonsense about everything. And his way of saying, I love you, was be good. All right, you be good. That was his thing on the way out the door. That was his, I love you. So I had this sense that I wanted to write another book, but what was it going to be? We went to Peace Park, and we did the walk around the stupa, and, Melissa and Shanda, they were giving us this guidance that you offer intention as you walk around this temple, and then you offer something on the altar. And, on my prayer, or on that walk, you go around 3 times, you ask for something, something you're inviting in your life. I said, Dad, I'd really, talking to my father, I want to feel your presence.
Right.
You're such a big part of who I am, and leadership and purpose. Like, I don't really feel you. I'd love to feel you. Well, we did that, and I had some tears, but nothing dramatic. Went home that night, and Shanda said, and Melissa, they're like, hey, don't get all caught up on your phone. Just be with the day, right? I went to sleep, and I had a dream of my dad, and I hadn't really had that experience, like a very profound dream. And I had this memory. I woke up like almost like startled. I remember being a little girl, and I was sitting on the edge of his bed, and I was doing one of those, how they have those books where you're a child and you're looking for the hidden picture,
Oh, yes.
Okay, I feel like we're doing a game show. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. Highlights, the Highlights magazine.
Highlights, that's
And
it.
it was Gammon. Right. I remember, yes.
I love doing highlights. I was doing the wooden, the picture thing, and then I was doing a maze. Okay. And my father said, well, what's the matter? Why are you all upset? I said, well, I can't get to the end of the maze. He said, well, where did you start? And I said, well, I started at the finish line. He goes, don't you know that every great leader doesn't start at the starting line? They start backwards, because they're right. You start backwards. You don't start at the beginning. You start backwards. And so when I woke up that morning, I got goosebumps, because I said, oh my gosh, this is how life is going for me right now. We all feel like we're supposed to be out looking for some big answer, some dramatic moment where we're, enlightened, or, have some awakening, right?
I want to see an angel, right?
I go, wow, I already have everything.
Right.
I already have anything. I just hadn't tapped in yet to my heart, to my guidance. I hadn't figured that piece out yet. So I wrote Be Good, and I wrote the book backwards. I started at chapter 16 to go down to 1 with this symbolic message that we already have everything that we need in this life, really, to be purposeful, to be inspirational, to be of service. And so I remember when Shanda submitted my book, Be Good, to Amazon, they rejected it because they thought it was an accident, that it started with chapter 16 and went down to 1. So anyhow, that leads us now to Heartistry. My involvement and being a founder of the Fabulous Women, and literally carrying the weight of this charity group. There's thousands of people that would show up to this, but I was always planning and producing, and I was up in my brain all the time. Right. And I thought, even though I'm doing good, I was always doing, I wasn't being. I said, now how can I possibly go to that next level in my life if I'm always busy? and I'm trying, bringing all this chaotic energy, even though it was good. So
Mm-hmm.
I stepped away from this group that was birthed in my living room, and it was very hard. It would, I know it's not the same thing, but if you stepped away from CYL and all of a sudden somebody starts running it, you're like, well, wait, you're
Wait
not
a
doing
second.
it right.
Yeah, no, wait a minute. Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You're not doing it right. And
right.
so
Right.
I did that with some intention to really find myself and tap into my heartistry, which comes back to your original question. What is that?
What is heartistry? Yes.
I believe that is the essence of who we really are. Once you kind of dismantle these roles, there's some sort of identity around, our success or our materialism, or it's really who we are when we're in this divine state of connectedness, not only to a higher spirit, and whatever a person identifies with. Is it God? Is it something else? Whatever they want to call it. But
Mm-hmm.
it's knowing that we're here on purpose, and that we're all connected, and that in some ways our human experiences are simply taking us back to some deeper lesson of compassion and humanity. Because at the end of the day, see, I get all teary-eyed. At the end of the day, that's why we're here. And so sometimes it's hard, like literally leaving that group was the hardest thing I ever did.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I knew that that's the next level of introspection. That's the next level of leadership, of actually making a difference in the world.
Right.
So I stepped off. Ironically, because we were helping lots of families who had gone through trauma and loss and grief, I had always done service from a place of just being intuitive, and I studied psychology, and but it always just was the helping heart, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, I need some merit, or like some sort of like meat, potatoes, like real skills behind this. And so when I left Fabulous Women, I had this prayer. I was in my sandwich shop, and I said to God, I'm like, God, I know you want me to do some sort of training, and I have no idea what it is,
Mm-hmm.
but it's going to help me go to the next level.
Wow. And that's when you stepped into.
Well, and not only that, Liz, but these two things happen simultaneously. The first thing is a woman walked into Mr. Pickles and said, "Can I use your restroom?" I said, "Sure." And I had a baseball cap, ripped jeans. It's right over here.
Mr. Pickle is her store in Sonoma County. Okay.
It's an amazing little restaurant, and it's a little hub for the community. And so I direct her to the bathroom, and she sees my books and a magazine cover. I was on the cover of a magazine, and I was all dressed up. And she says, "Oh, is that you?" And I said, "It is, believe it or not." And I took my hat off. It is. She says, "How does one get on a magazine?" And I said, "Well," and I told her a little bit about the Fabulous Women. And I said, "But I think I'm actually supposed to go do some sort of training in my life."
Mm-hmm.
And she says, "Oh, you would be perfect for what it is when all the fires happen in Sonoma County, they raised all this money to help people deal with trauma. So they teamed up with the Center for Mind Body Medicine. And so they were looking for community leaders to step in, learn the modality of mind body medicine, be able to help people learn to quiet the mind, deal with their stress, calm the nervous system down, and start to process their trauma." And so I said, "Oh my goodness, I just prayed for this 2 hours ago." Like,
Right.
I asked for training, and then here it was. And then, simultaneously, I was signed up for Sunny's retreat, and, all of a sudden I'm at that retreat, and here came the other training. And I was like, my goodness, it was incredible.
You paid attention, and you allowed yourself to be guided. And I know that there's so many times in our lives when we don't, when we get so stuck in our heads and out of the heart, and we allow the ego to take over rather than allowing that space of the heart. And something that I ask myself when I'm getting into fear, when I'm in my head, I literally stop and I say to myself, what would love say? What would love say? You know, what would love? And that immediately drops me back into my heart space. And we've got some comments. Robin is saying, "Oh, Krista, I love your open heart. You are a gift in the world. I felt you. Yay."
Thank
And
you.
Nicole is here. Nicole, thank you. Authenticity and connectedness. I love this. That is needed for so many types of trauma. Absolutely. Is to allow ourselves to drop into our heart space, to drop into kindness. I remember Wayne Dyer used to say something, would you rather be right or would you rather be kind? Would you rather be kind today? How are you going to walk through this day? Are you walking through in your heart or are you walking through in your ego and fear?
Well, and I'm sure you would agree with this, Liz, that the year that we just went through was so traumatic for everybody. And it affected it wasn't personal, but it felt personal, right?
Sure as hell did feel personal. It was like, not really personal, but because I always felt like everybody else, every time it came out of my mouth, wow, we're having some challenges here, I would get, and like everyone else,
It
you
was
know, just like everyone else's.
It was, well, and obviously it was personalized, this pandemic, the shutdowns, everything. Everybody internalized that experience differently.
Right.
Listen, we lost two parents within a month, and it was just a devastating time. And some people were affected with jobs, some people, students were affected and isolated and depressed, not being able to socialize or learn. I mean, everybody has been impacted. But the truth is, I think that when the world said shut down, many people shut down with it.
Yeah.
And just, we're all on this survival cycle where there's so much fear in the world about how you can't go out or people are dying. And, all of a sudden what we originally trusted wasn't there anymore. And everybody got caught up in the media and what they're saying, and it just keeps us in the fear and the separation.
Right.
And I believe that the blessing of the work you're doing, and mind body medicine, and listen, there's hundreds and hundreds of modalities that help people kind of quiet that noise, release that fear.
Quiet the noise, dropping into stillness. I know.
Right? And it's bizarre to think that you can find some sort of reverence in this really noisy world, right?
Well, what's interesting is that it's funny. I'm going to interrupt you just for a second because I remember when this all started, how people started. And hello, Vicki. Hi, good to see you, Vicki. I'm going to see you tonight. So what I noticed though is that community started to come together, and I noticed how everybody brought everything to social media. And there was there was definitely some anger going on. There was some frustration going on. But in our community, when I say our community, I mean Celebrate Your Life Soul Fest. Krista, you're a part of that. And everybody here is a part of that. Our spiritual community really came together. Like this beautiful ball of energy. Like there are so many of the teachers that are taking to social media, to being present a lot more than they ever have, because we all felt like, okay, we need to show up now.
That's
and
correct.
We've been now showing up for a year, and we've been showing up, and I've been having guests on, and Sunny's been doing things, and Lisa Williams and Neil Donald Walsh and John Holland
and Anita,
Caroline Mason, everybody's been just showing up. Like, okay, we need to continue to be present, and we need to keep being present for ourselves and for our entire community as a whole. So
certainly you're tapping into this piece that we are shifting. The world is shifting, and it's uncomfortable when we shift, for sure. But this idea that fear and separation can win, of course, we're going to overcome that with the fear and with the love and the community. And for me, I feel like we overcome it with our Heartistry. Again, this idea that there's a oneness, there's a wholeness, and within community, there's wellness. I mean, isn't it amazing that community, and within that, there's immunity, this coming together. And so I felt such a sense of support in tapping into whether it was CYL or Sunny or people who were having these deeper conversations. But I
Right.
noticed that there was a whole nother, like, just population of people who were shrinking and falling apart because they didn't really have the skills, or, whether it was, some support system that was
Right.
giving them different information than what they were hearing on the news.
Exactly.
I will
Exactly.
say this, Liz. Okay, so I'm laughing because do you remember I went on the cruise ship and renewed my vows with, like, your aunt was on that cruise ship?
Yes, that's hilarious. It's so funny because they're here now in Arizona again. Oh, that's so funny.
So I'm laughing because I turned 50 and my sister surprises me with this trip. We're going to go with my sister and her husband, and Paul and I, and we're going to go renew our vows on the Love Boat for my 50th birthday. And
Mhm.
I'm thinking to myself, I remember right when I turned 50, I wrote down, hey, my life's going to a whole new level this year with visibility. And, I'm going to go get married, and 50 is the new 40, and just tear up life. Right.
Exactly. It's true.
And, there were two boats out in the water. We got in and we docked and, got off that ship, and basically the world went into quarantine.
Right.
Well, one cruise ship was left out at sea for 40 days.
I know.
And I'm like, holy shit, if that was my boat, I don't know what I would have done. But and so it began this shutting down, right? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, this is incredible. But I had all these plans, I'm telling I'm like
You're like, oh my
negotiating.
God, I really had all these plans. What are you doing? Are you chugging a here? Like, what's
I'm
happening?
like negotiating with God. I just finished my my second CYL, and I've got plans on getting my book out, and I'm just going to tear up the world with this love message, right? This Heartistry. And so this is where I want to bring it back full circle to you and Sunny in this CYL program.
Oh, the Celebrate, what she's talking about right now is the Celebrate Your Life Speakers program. And I'm actually going to put this up here just in case anyone wants to be a part of this. And Barbara Nyman, if you're still there, I know this is something that you wanted to be a part of.
Well,
So, okay.
First of all, I can't say enough about it. And even though I spoke earlier about being scared to dive in, right? Because of the caliber of speakers and what you were producing. First of all, so that's a compliment in terms of, like, wow, I really look up to these folks. Who am I to say that I should have space on this stage? Right.
Right.
And I went to Celebrate Your Life where Martha Beck and Elizabeth Gilbert was there. And
Oh,
that was a
so
great one.
fun.
It was so fun. And
So
I
fun.
said, why not? And here's, the thought is, I think the first, you said, why do it 2 times, Krista? The first time I went in, like, I want to get that spot. Like, I had a very kind of a ego oriented goal.
I don't know if that's so ego. I
Like,
don't know.
well, listen, but that was my intention. I want to get that spot.
Okay.
Right. And I was very attached to it.
Right.
And then I got in the room, okay, our virtual room with 100 other people who had amazing messages. And I thought, that's humbling, and that's a good thing for me to see that. Okay. Right. Because sometimes it's, what the world is, whatever message maybe you were ready to share with the world in terms of your selection. It's just divine timing for that person. And I couldn't take it personally that, hey, I didn't get picked, right? But as we proceeded through the different modules and these conversations, what I also learned is that, you don't have to sacrifice your playfulness and your personality and in order to deliver the message that is spiritual. And, I think Sunny also, she really speaks to that. She shows up in her high heels and ripped jeans and, and can just, she can rock a room like nobody's business.
Exactly.
And I also saw that with, Martha Beck and Elizabeth Gilbert being so playful. And do you remember the moment where Elizabeth Gilbert ran down the aisle with the water bottle? And so she said,
Yes.
through the sprinklers. And she's
Oh,
doing
that was
this.
so
And
great.
I said,
Yeah. I mean,
wow.
and that's such a beautiful takeaway from the program, because you don't have to sacrifice who you are. As a matter of fact, when you're becoming a professional speaker, when you're putting yourself out there, it's crucial to bring your personality with you. And it's crucial to allow yourself to become alive, because that's what keeps an audience engaged. What do you think, like, the 3 top things you learned through the Celebrate Your Life Speakers program?
Okay, so that first thing was
Be yourself.
not to take it personally.
Not to take
anything personally, because, or be so attached. Here is really the great thing. I was attached to one stage. By the end of the 2 trainings, I realized, and again, this was right when COVID was kicking off, and I had all these plans to get out there, go do it, you're going to tear it up. And what I realized is that the stage you were actually preparing me for was my life. And that I seriously, I felt like I was looking for more visibility. I was looking for more confidence in delivering the message of Heartistry. I was trying to figure out, well, who am I in this role? Are people going to roll their eyes and say, who does she think she is, going out there and talking about spirituality, right? I think that listening to you and Sunny with the storytelling and bringing in the different professionals really reinforced that I am right where I need to be. I'm who I am in the most divine and original, place. And my message is going to stand out because I believe in myself.
Right. And that's the other piece that we really kind of drilled home quite often, was that everyone has an important message to share with the world. And and when you said, who am I to share? Of course, because everyone has something really important to share with the world.
And you know what's so interesting?
More, and it's needed more now than ever before.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. You're so right. And this is why, I feel, I wake up at 3 a.m. and my husband says, well, what are you doing? I go, I'm writing. And when it comes in, and I just got to go with it. And I said, something very divine is guiding this work, and this term Heartistry, and where, how that all came into my life, and just a series of teachings from different professionals along the way, and life experience, failures, and some triumphs and everything. So I know that I'm right where I need to be. And I think that's what's so interesting about releasing a very comfortable, and I have a beautiful life here in Sonoma County, to actually pick up and go to another state. I guess in some ways I'm just going to another state of mind also.
Absolutely. So for those of you who don't know this, Krista is thinking about moving to Arizona. She's in Sonoma County with her husband and family, and is considering coming here. And
no, it's happening. We bought the house.
They are. They're
coming. But it's not going to happen right away. And the truth is, I'm honored with the family that I have, and they're all here. So it makes it actually a very difficult, it's not easy to leave that.
Right. And you're doing exactly what you've been teaching, and what you've been talking about is really coming from the head into the heart, and staying in your heart center and following that guidance. And hopefully your husband has that same guidance.
Oh yeah, no, it's very mutual. What's so interesting, Liz, is the house that we bought. In some ways, before we even found it, we were joking about, this is the next adventure. This is the next chapter. And we have a very beautiful life here, and we're very grateful for. But I'm not just dismissing this life. Like we can do both. But I thought it was so ironic. So we found the house that we love, and we got it, and it's on Adventure Lane.
Adventure Lane.
It's
Yay!
the
That is
Adventure
so
Lane.
great.
So we had been joking about us, the next chapter and finding our adventure, and we ended up on Adventure Lane. So
I love that. I think that's fabulous.
it
Well,
is.
for those of you out there joining us, we're with Krista Gawronski, and she is the creator and founder of something called Heartistry, which is really wonderful. And it's all about tuning into your heart's desire and turning off all the mental chatter and getting still enough to really hear your heart and soul's messages. And Krista was also a two-time student of the Celebrate Your Life Speakers Training Program that's actually coming up on, here's the URL for it, but that's actually coming up. It's starting on March 30th. And this training program is being done by myself and also best-selling author and international spiritual teacher, Sunny Dawn Johnston. Myself as a 25-year veteran in this industry of producing events with some of the most influential and greatest visionaries of our time, including Ian Van Zandt and Martha Beck and Elizabeth Gilbert and Neil Donald Walsh and Dr. Wayne Dyer and Joe Dispenza and Neil Donald Walsh. I mean, the list just goes on and on. And so I'm taking all of my skills as a producer and what I look for in speakers and training people to actually be able to step on a stage with confidence. So Sunny and I are bringing all of our skills together. It's starting on March 30th. There's a discount going on right now. It's just in a few more days. So you want to grab it with the discount. It's a phenomenal program.
It really is.
Yeah, I have to say, we put together a really great program because I'm seeing the results of some of the students. And I'm seeing the results of what's happened as a result of them taking and really working all the things that we guide them to do in order to get their message out there. So if this resonates for you, you've been thinking about it, you have a career in this, you want to uplift your career, take the program.
Well, I also want to mention that not only is it helpful in terms of the skills that you're teaching for being on a stage, owning your message, but you have such a powerhouse support system with Shanda and Melissa and Mooney, and just to be able to learn the more entrepreneurial side of things. You know what I mean? So, for instance, make sure you go own your URL. Changing your name, right? That was like something I had never thought about, and just, having Shanda as a support. So a lot of times instead of a business card now, people go and their book is their business card.
Write a book. Writing a book is now writing a book is now the new business card.
I know,
it really is.
Yeah,
it really is. It's so funny. All right, everybody. Krista, thank you so much for being on today.
I loved it. I feel like I can talk to you all day, girl.
I know. And thank you all so much for joining us today. So greatly appreciate it. I'm also going to be live tomorrow morning with Sunny. We're going to be talking about anxiety. So for those of you that want to join us 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, I'm going 10 a.m. Pacific time. Sunny and I are going to be live in all the Celebrate Your Life rooms and all on her pages as well. So thank you everyone so much for joining us.
It was a blessing today.
Thank you so much, Krista. This was so much fun.
It really was. I'll see you soon.
Yes, you will.
Yes, I will.